Over the past couple of years, I've had some pretty bad experiences with erasing personal information online, both as a user and as a publisher. And these experiences have highlighted the fact that there are right ways to do it, and there are terrible ways to do it. You can actually damage your privacy by choosing the wrong method or the wrong service, and here's what you need to know. This video is sponsored by DeleteMe, a longtime partner of all things security. I specifically asked them to sponsor this video, and I'll explain why in a moment. In 2023, I received a random email from a company in Germany that I had never heard of before. In this email, they said that they had recently received an overwhelming number of unprompted and machine automated data deletion requests that included my personal data. What made this so alarming to me was that by law, even though I had never used this company's services or, to my knowledge, ever given them my data, they were now required to retain my personal information that had been sent to them. That's not cool. Now, Incogni, the company that had done this, responded to this in another email, not by denying that they had sent my data to them, but by assuring me that this German company wasn't allowed to do anything with it. So yeah, that's not really encouraging, nor does that seem like a good data privacy move. It was hard for me to understand how something like this could happen until I received a similar request from another data removal service, but this time as a publisher. You see, somebody who had signed up for the All Things Secured newsletter had decided to start using PrivacyBee to remove their personal information online, specifically using the company's marketing list removal feature. This sounds like a great service, but it's really not. So let me explain. Instead of simply clicking unsubscribe, which is so easy, it's at the bottom of every email that I send, this user decided to find the dumbest way to erase their information. Using PrivacyBee, I was sent a quote-unquote privacy request that basically said, hey, here is this person's email, physical address, phone number, and date of birth. If you have any of this information on your servers, please remove it. Think about that. The only thing that I had stored on my email list was this lady's email address and possibly her first name. I don't even remember. A simple unsubscribe click was all that was required. But now, without any prompting, I was being handed 3 additional pieces of very personal information that, frankly, I didn't even want to have. I feel like this highlights a few very important things that we need to understand about data brokers and how you erase your information online. First, the way you make data removal requests is more important than I thought it was. The popular method you're seeing used by PrivacyBee and Incogni and probably a bunch of others is what I call the spray and pray approach. It's also known in the industry as blind opt-outs. They're taking your information and virtually going door to door to a list of thousands of websites and data brokers, blindly showing them your data and asking if they've ever seen it before. It might be effective, but it is certainly not private. The alternative is to actively search for your personal information that might be available online, and then, when found, initiate a removal request. This is the method that DeleteMe uses and is one of the big reasons that I've continued to use and recommend their service over the past few years. They don't send out my information. They use what I give them to search for it and then submit requests for removal. But there are limits to this method that bring me to point number 2. It's hard to delete data that isn't public. I've had people email me and message me asking how they can remove their data from Facebook, from Google search results, or even off of lists from the dark web. In some cases, like in Facebook, that's something that only you can do through your account. You might not realize that Facebook gives you the option to go nuclear on the account if you want to, but it'll completely delete all of your data and your account. In other cases, like Google search results, you have to go to the source that Google is crawling and get that removed. And that's what's known as reputation management, and it gets really expensive, and there's no guarantee of success. And for the dark web, there's just no way. It's called the dark web for a reason. In other words, if a data removal service promises you the moon in terms of what information on the internet they can erase, you really need to be careful. Third, there are some areas in which the law has actually made things easier. Unsubscribing from an email list is a great example. By law, I have to place a clear link to unsubscribe from my emails in every email that I send. It's just plain dumb to be so lazy that you ask a service like PrivacyBee to do this for you when the link is right there. When you use Gmail, sometimes they even show you a place on the top to unsubscribe. You just click and you can unsubscribe. It's that easy. Finally, and this is a question that I get a lot, the only information you should be handing over to a data removal service are things like your name, your email address, physical address, phone number, and maybe your immediate family members' names. They shouldn't be searching for your ID number, social security number, your passport number, credit card number, or anything else like that that is more personally or financially sensitive. So when I go through the initial setup process for DeleteMe, as an example, my data sheet includes alternate names. Let's say you have a maiden name or you've changed your name. So you can include alternate names, current and past physical addresses, email addresses, multiple. Some data services, data removal services only allow you to have one email address, but DeleteMe has multiple. Same with phone numbers, family and relatives, and an authorization that they can make removal requests on my behalf. I know that seems like a lot, but if you did a search for your name on white pages, chances are this is exactly the kind of information that is already available online anyway. And since DeleteMe takes the search and remove approach as opposed to that spray and pray blind opt-out approach, when they tell me that they've reviewed over 18,000 listings and found 7 with my data, I'm really a lot happier knowing that they didn't go out and hand out all of this information to all the data brokers that didn't have a public record of my data already. Now, like I said, DeleteMe is the sponsor of this video, and I want to take you into my dashboard here where you can see exactly what they're doing. On my privacy dashboard, I've got reports, I've got tools, my data sheet. This is where I've already input and I can go and update that data sheet where it'll, I can share a new email address or a new phone number that I want to have searched for. And it'll put that into the data sheet. Likewise, on the dashboard, you'll see that there's constantly these questions. Is this phone number? No, this was never my phone number. And so it's finding maybe other Joshes out there and making sure that that isn't me, because a lot of these data brokers have just wildly different sets of data that they're pulling from. And so they're wanting to make sure, is this my relative? No, this is not my relative. All right, so I can view the different reports. We'll do that in a second, but essentially you're seeing that over time, and I've been using DeleteMe now for about 4 years, 3 or 4 years, I can't remember. They have been searching my data on over 20,000 different listings over each month. And then the type of data that's been exposed mostly is my address, my family members, my age, and phone and name is less and less. And I think one of the reasons is because I've been using them for so long, because they continually monitor, because a lot of times these data brokers will delete your information, but then they will get more information and they will put up a new listing. So you're constantly, it's a cat and mouse game where you're constantly having to make sure that the data has been taken down. So let's look at one of my reports so you can get an idea of what's happening here. This is my latest report from DeleteMe. So this being my February 2025 22nd report that I've had, where they've reviewed 16,000 listings. They've removed 29 of mine. And you can see that most recently, there were a lot more here in February. And it goes through and shows me each one of the different companies that they are searching out. And again, like I said in this earlier, they're not showing my information. They are finding my information and then making those requests. Now, I was told by a DeleteMe representative that they're going to make this blind opt-out an option perhaps in the future. My recommendation is not to do that, but to rather keep it the way that they do this already, but that's just my own recommendation. So you can see, I can see that these removals are in progress, or that a removal is clean, they haven't found it, and they'll continue that search. So there are a lot of removal requests happening. A lot of these companies you probably won't even have heard of before. I've never heard of them before. These data broker companies just pop up all the time. And so the database of companies that they're searching through probably changes every single month because there's always being ones added. Now, one of the things that I do like about DeleteMe is that you can actually make a request. So if I found my data online somewhere and I want them to make a request on my behalf, I don't want to take the time to take it down myself, I can go in here and say, hey, this is my name, this is where I found my data, and I would like you to go in and find a way to remove it. And that's probably one of the ways that they find new data brokers, is maybe a lot of the requests that we send out there. So if you want to learn more and try DeleteMe for yourself, you can go to joindeleteme.com/allthingssecured. You'll get 20% off. You can give them a try. It is worth going in and starting to remove your data online. This is something that's really easy to do. I rarely, honestly, log into my DeleteMe dashboard because it's more of a set it and forget it type of thing. So they'll send me via email my privacy reports, which I might glance at, and then every once in a while I'll log in, but for the most part, I don't even have to touch it, and I'm confident that my data, at least any public instances of my data on these data broker sites, is being taken care of constantly. And if you have any other questions or thoughts, you can go into the comment section. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for taking your time, and watch this video next if you want to see more about how you can protect your data.